And here we go. We have liftoff. Propulsion continues to be nominal.
RCPA chamber pressure looks good.
Rolling up. Roger, Atlantic.
Water towers, fly! Yes! Tango down to nominal.
Flight downside FD off. Bring in FD off. Off. It's orange!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage.
What is it?
Put that in the big bag, Eagle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together back to the moon and beyond.
This methane would be igniting the flare, correct?
Yikes. You dead? Sure. We don't need any more of these.
All right, folks, you know the drill. Let me know over in chat if you can hear me. John Galloway for NASASpaceflight, NSF here early in the morning, and on your screen you should see a spacecraft and its carrier plane that are headed on a suborbital spaceflight shortly here. Standing down at the end of the runway, I see some 5x5s in chat. Who's surprised that we have some cameras out here at Spaceport today? But us, Starship just launched. I thought everybody was so tired because of that. And then here, all of a sudden, there are multiple live feeds coming from Spaceport America. Jack and Dee actually rolled all the way out there in the last, I think they left 19 hours before the flight window opened this morning to bring y'all live coverage from this 7th flight of Virgin Galactic's spacecraft here. We'll be doing some streams here. We'll be doing some streams. Oh, look, that's a cool plane. We'll be doing some coverage here for y'all, reading chat, answering questions, all that sort of stuff. But let me introduce the folks who are going to be hanging out with me, because I'm not just going to be talking on my own. I believe I've got Mr. Sawyer Rosenstein with me this morning. Sawyer, we got you on comms?
I am here on comms, and hopefully 5x5. It is a great morning to fly to the edge of space.
A great morning to fly to the edge of space. You got it. It's beautiful out there, by the way. Jack and Dee reporting in that the weather and conditions are absolutely fantastic over here in sort of southern New Mexico. I saw a question scroll through chat there asking where Spaceport actually is. Sue Luis here asked, this is Spaceport America, and it's in the southern part of New Mexico near the White Sands Missile Range. It's actually a really cool location because the missile range is a big testing facility, and so you don't get a lot of commercial aircraft flying over it. And Spaceport is sort of nestled over on the western side of the missile range, where they have, let's say, an easier time of clearing out TFRs, or clearing out the airways, I guess, for flights like this. Here this morning, they're going to be hopping up into space with 6 human beings aboard, and it looks like Jack's got a view of the chase plane that's flying out there. I don't think that's not just a chase plane, is it, Sawyer? That's I think it's a G simulator plane as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, prior to actually going on their flights in the days before, while they're at Spaceport America, they do go through high G and low G additional training and practice ahead of the flight.
You got it. They had some, I think they put out a reel on Twitter yesterday, or X, the everything app, showing some of the G training that they do in these little, basically acrobatic stunt planes. But it will also serve as the chase plane. It's taxiing over to the main runway out there at Spaceport. Massive runway, by the way. And it will take off first, and then we should shortly see the combination craft. That looks like a really weird aircraft there on the left-hand side, doesn't it? That's actually 2 things tacked together right now. You've got the carrier aircraft VMS Eve. Yeah, I got that right. VMS Eve. That's right. Jeez, I stuttered for a second. And then you have the spaceship VSS Unity. It's VMS, Virgin Mothership, Eve, and VSS, Virgin Spaceship Unity. So 2 different craft that are currently connected together there. And that guy walking by on the cell phone. And what's going to happen is the carrier aircraft with the 4 engines on the outer wings and the 2 fuselages. That's the carrier aircraft, and it's going to carry the spacecraft, which is sort of hung there in the middle, up to an altitude where it releases it, drops it. You hear him say release, release, release. And then the spacecraft will fire its hybrid rocket engines and literally jump into space. So that is our plan here this morning. Wilbo Baggins, how you doing? Appreciate the super chat over there. I love how people have to promise that what they want to send to Jack is not a kilt. Hit us up in the Discord, Wilbo. We'll get you set up there. But Sawyer, tell us a little bit about what's going on this morning. I think takeoff is in 8-9 minutes, but tell us about what they're doing on the mission today.
Absolutely. So when it comes to these missions, some of them have paying customers, others are there for research. And there is definitely research that is set to be performed on this particular mission. There are a couple of different experiments for Axiom Space. There's also ones for some private universities, such as Purdue University and UC Berkeley. Apparently, the Purdue experiment will be focusing on propellant sloshing in fuel tanks in flight. UC Berkeley will be testing out types of 3D printing and microgravity. And then, of the crew members, we know the identity of one of them, as published by Virgin Galactic, Tuva Atasever, who is from Turkey, and again was one of the backup crew members for Axiom 3. He'll be flying a bunch of different experiments, including ones that were created by Turkish universities students. So he'll be doing some research related to a whole bunch of different things in terms of insulin pens, different. Pardon me.
Really?
Yeah. Related to insulin pens, related to other health things as well. Radiation, and a whole bunch more that I can get into more in just a little bit.
All right. It is one of the things with the suborbital space flight here. They not only fly humans aboard, they're not just going up there and looking out the windows, right? Every one of these flights is also a research mission. And they do various experiments that they can't do here on the ground. Or they can do, but on the ground, they're not in microgravity conditions. So what you do when you jump into space is you have a brief period. It's not hours worth of time, but you have minutes where you can actually experience the microgravity environment and test out things, not only like experiments, right, that say there's something in a rack. They have an entire rack of experiments, by the way. But you can also put sensors on humans, and you can see how humans react in this period. I think one of the things they always measure is how excited they get when they do this. So
Yeah, I mean, for example, he will be wearing a dosimeter as well, so that's one of those human wearing experiments.
Gotcha. That's always the thing. Like, how much? What's the right way to say it? How much radiation exposure do you get from taking a flight? That's always a stat. Like, oh, I got on an airplane, and if you fly X amount of times at 35,000 feet in a regular commercial plane, you get more radiation exposure than if you just hang out at sea level because there's less air to block radiation, right? And I guess if you jump even higher, way higher than a commercial flight could go, technically it's kind of a commercial flight. It's commercial space flight here today. You will get a little bit more, or I guess you'll measure how much more radiation you'll get in that time period than in your flight that, I don't know, took you flying out to spaceport. They didn't fly to spaceport, though. They drove to spaceport. Jack and Dee did. They left 19 hours. I think it was like 19 hours before the window for liftoff opened. They hopped in the car to do 13 and a half, almost 14 hours of driving to get out there in time to share these feeds with you. So I don't know.
As seen
Yeah,
on Flame
not only
Trench.
that, but
There's
I
Jack.
gotta point this out. We streamed the entire drive. We were live for members the entire drive. And I think we're going to do that again on the way home.
On the way
But
back.
either way, thank you so much to our members. We constantly try and give you new and different, interesting content. So yeah, the 12-hour driving stream was really fun. And thank you to everyone that tuned into that. And if you want to tune into that, become a Capcom member, get into Discord, and we'll have a blast. Because holy cow, I can barely even talk because G and I were chit-chatting with members for like 12 hours straight yesterday while we drove through everywhere that we drove through. So very little sleep. But you know what? People are going to space, and that's important. So we're out here, and also it's the last flight of Unity.
We've got
Virgin
a
Galactic is
motion.
switching over to. Oh,
We've got motion from the spaceship and carrier aircraft right now, Jack.
I can see it.
There
Excellent.
you go. All right, it's rolling another. It was a long drive, but Jack checking in over there. And remember, the plan here is Jack is going to catch this taking off. D is at a slightly different position, and we have one of our robotic cameras out there that will be remotely managed by Gage out there. Or not out. Gage isn't out there. Gage is a remote. But we will see this take off, hopefully, and then Jack and D are going to hop in the vehicle and race up the road to the drop zone. Get underneath the area where the release will actually happen, and the spacecraft will light its engine for that suborbital hop, and then we will see what happens from there. So that's our plan here this morning, folks. You can see we've got some motion rolling down the runway. That is the combined carrier aircraft, VMS Eve, and the spacecraft as well. Spaceship as well, getting ready to hopefully take off in just under 3 or 4 minutes there. You've got some questions for us, tag us in chat at NASASpaceflight. We will see if we can answer some questions for you. Let's see here. Ferk, I see Ferk asking some questions about the units of radiation that they use. Yes, radiation is measured in millisieverts and other sorts of numbers, but the whole point is they're going to be measuring the numbers. I can't tell you the numbers yet. They haven't measured them yet. So I'm sure that that information will come back in some research.
Yep, hence the experiment on this flight.
You got it. RC Horseman asking, Das, have you noticed that Ponycam is missing from Boca? Yes, I have noticed that. It is not at Boca right now. It actually came all the way out here to Spaceport. Going to continue looking for questions here, but if you're just joining us or you've just found us, we are looking like we're coming up on less than 2.5 minutes before takeoff. There are human beings aboard the spacecraft and carrier aircraft here. And hopefully we see a takeoff shortly.
That is indeed the hope here as they taxi to the 12,000-foot-long runway at Spaceport America. We'll see wind-wise if it's runway 16 or 34 today.
There you go.
Oh, well, but he's standing on top of my car. No, he's standing on the hill behind your car. Oh. There's a hill behind your car.
This is just so exciting. I mean, people are going to go to space on a human-piloted spacecraft. It's not a computer handling things. It's a human being with their hand on a... What was it called, Das? It's not a stick. It's not a yoke. It's a Stoke.
It's a Stoke. It's a stick yoke.
or a yick. Either way. But yeah, it's a human-piloted spacecraft. I cannot stress that enough. How absurdly cool that is. So yeah, it's a really big day and a really cool thing that we get to see here. And just once again, thank you to Virgin and thank you to Spaceport America for hosting us. We've done this many times from outside the fence, and it's an honor and a privilege to be inside the fence. So just once again, thank you to them for that, and thank you to D. Like that 12-hour stream I was just talking about while we were driving, that was all D, 100%. I could have never done that by myself. The number of times I've done this drive by myself, it was just a pleasure. So thank you, D, for everything that you did to get that running and being a trooper, because that was an insane drive.
Lots of carpool karaoke in there.
Lots of carpool.
Thanks for handling all the driving. I was glad to not have to do any of that. Thanks for handling all the driving.
So maybe less than a minute here. We saw it taxi down to the end of the runway and turn back around. Jack, what's the status on the chase plane? Has the chase plane taken off yet, or is it staged over there? I asked Jack a question right after he muted, so we might get Jack back. Jack might be focusing on
chase plane's still there.
Chase plane's still there. All right, good deal. Chime in if you see it start to roll out. But here we are, folks. Again, the NET is a no earlier than time. It is a plane. It's not trying to rendezvous with the International Space Station. It doesn't have a very specific window of takeoff down to the second like some of the rocket launches you see. That's one of the good things about the air launch, I guess you could say, is you have a lot more flexibility in what you're doing, and especially you're not going into an orbit here. You're not trying to meet up with anything specifically. So they do have some flexibility there. We'll change that clock just up to the top. Yep, there you go. We'll stand by for some audio here we might have. Picking up speed down the runway. There's the hangar. Went behind for just a second. And there we have liftoff. It is the 7th commercial mission for Virgin Galactic, the 7th research mission, flying multiple research experiments. University payloads, some stuff for Axiom Space on there, and most importantly, human beings on their way to the drop zone where the spacecraft will hop them into space on a suborbital space flight.
Beautiful takeoff there. Everything looks good.
So, folks, what's coming up next? Oh, look at that shot.
Yes, that is Andy Edgell and CJ Sturko piloting VMS Eve on that beautiful takeoff.
Look at that. So this is actually going to be the robotic camera, I think, that Gage is remotely controlling right now. Dee and Jack took the camera out there and deployed it, and it will stay in position for tracking while they move down to the drop zone. But we have a bit of a climb phase here. The carrier aircraft is going to carry the spacecraft up to an altitude, and it does take them a bit of time. I don't know that we have a specific drop time released yet. If we have that, let me know. But we will be...
All right, I gotta go.
Go ahead,
Dee,
Jack.
I'm on my way. Get ready.
Go ahead, Jack. Jack now has to move to the vehicle, and they are going to drive, I think it's almost 30 miles north to get underneath the drop zone, and they have to do that safely in the time that the aircraft here is actually doing its climb up to altitude.
Yeah, from past flights we've seen it's usually about 45 minutes to an hour after takeoff as they climb their way up to about 70 to 90 kilometers up, so about 45 to 55 miles up.
Yep. Good deal. Now, I believe we might actually have this on FlightAware as well. Some of the flight tracking apps will show it, and sometimes you can actually see the different two different call signs, two different numbers for the spacecraft and the carrier aircraft itself. But do we have that? Let me check the back channel real quick and see what indicator can be searched to track this flight today. We'll share that in just a second if y'all want to follow along, and I believe we may also be showing it here. There we go. Thanks, Ryan. It's N348MS, it looks like. And we'll see if we can't, maybe Jay will tell me in the back channel whether or not we have the ability to put FlightAware here on the stream.
By the way, they're clever with that November 348 MS mothership.
Thank you, thank you. All right, so while Jack and Dee are moving out to the... Jack actually has to exit the spaceport hangar area. Gage is holding it down here. Gage, fantastic job with the CP11 ponycam track. I can't stress enough how cool this is, because this robotic camera was deployed out. It's just a single tripod with a little communications battery box next to it. And Gage is in Ohio? I think it's Gage is in Ohio, right? Controlling this would probably tell you with a Trackpad Pro.
And this was a camera that was tracking Starship just a couple days ago.
It is. This camera, what was it, 48 hours ago? Just over 48 hours ago.
48 hours?
It has been just over 48 hours. This camera was on the beach, I think it was like 1.1 miles away from the Starship launch, and tracked the Starship launch from our beach location all the way till we lost sight of it. Controlled by one of our remote operators, and now it is in Spaceport America tracking the flight of Galactic 7 here.
I love how clearly you could see the ship underneath the mothership there.
Yeah.
The blue underside.
Look at this.
What a view.
What an angle there. Folks, again, if you're just joining us, we've witnessed the takeoff of Galactic 07. Virgin Galactic's launching the final flight of VSS Unity, carrying 4 passengers, 2 crew aboard, and then we've got pilots in the carrier aircraft as well. but this is the final flight of. The right way to say it is this spacecraft design. They're working on a new spacecraft design that'll take what they've learned from flying this multiple times. And there we go. Now we're going to get the track up there as well so we can show you both. They've learned a lot from operating this over the years. They've changed a lot of things, corrected a lot of things. One of those fly and get data and then make things better. And they have enough things to make better that they're doing an entire new design. So this is the final flight of this design, and they haven't really released a lot of information on the new design, have they, Sawyer?
Not that much. We do know, again, that it is going to be a Delta fleet, is what they're going to be calling that. That they expect to have a couple of them, and each one will be able to fly 8 space missions per month, which with 12 times the monthly capacity of what we're seeing now with Unity.
I'd love to see it happen, that's for sure. Like, it's a long road between we're going to fly this number of times per month and actually flying that number of times per month. But I guarantee you that if you don't fly anything, you're not going to make that cadence, right? So
that's true. And as of now, the plan for that is to have that online for commercial service in 2026.
2026. We'll stand by for that. More ways to experience flight, more ways to experience space, more ways to get research done in all sorts of different capacities. You know, you want to do a parabolic flight. Okay, that's one thing you can do research on. You want to hop into space. Here, go to the edge of space. That's another way you can do it. You want to be on a vertical rocket, right? Like a Blue Origin's New Shepard that does the vertical jump into space. That's another thing. You need to go all the way into space. You have options for that. All sorts of different ways that we can do this research and we can experience these things as human beings. I know people have a lot of opinions on it, but it's important to have options. It's important to explore all these different ways, these technological ways that we can advance what we're doing. So glad to see Virgin Galactic flying again here today. What is this shot? Did we switch back to D for a second?
A fantastic track still.
Yeah.
The views already. Can't wait to see it drop.
That. That's okay. That's still 11. All right. I think we just made it bigger and moved the FlightAware away so we could change up what we're showing on FlightAware. You know, Sawyer, this is a thing for rockets as well, but I like the scattered puffy clouds because they give you so much context.
Yes, you really get a good contrast of just how fast a vehicle is actually going in terms of its relation to the sky and everything. You really get that sense of speed. And it's going to be going fast, that's for sure.
And even faster once it releases and ignites that hybrid rocket motor that'll propel the spacecraft itself to the edge of space. How many people are watching right now? Let's see. We rolled out to Spaceport America to share this with y'all. And there are 11,500 people hanging out with us. Folks, this is sort of what we do here on the channel. If you don't know, we are NSF. We cover spaceflight. And one of the things we do is we get live feeds from places. So if this is the first time you've hung out with us, the first time you found our channel, you know what to do. If you want to find your way back, you can click the old like button. You can subscribe to the channel. We cover rocket launches. We cover experimental stuff. If SpaceX is going to poke a hole in a tank at Starbase, you'll probably see it on our stream. We've got multiple 24/7 streams going. We've got stuff situated out at Cape Canaveral, so you can watch things happening at the Cape. SpaceX rolling rockets by and that sort of stuff 24/7. All sorts of different ways that you can be a part of the space community here, but it starts by clicking the subscribe button. And maybe the little thumbs up thing too. How many little thumbs ups are there? 183 thumbs ups. Maybe we'll get some more thumbs up. We'll have to continue to do a good job here, Sawyer, so more people thumbs up the stream.
Oh, that's what we're supposed to be doing? Oh,
Yeah.
hang on. Let me try doing that.
Let me try doing a good job. So we do have some scattered clouds, folks. So we're going to keep the FlightAware up so that you can see, but it is quite possible that we lose the track here. And once you lose the track, it is very difficult to reacquire it. But we will see what we are able to see. Remember, Jack and D are rolling out up the road to get right underneath the drop zone. This spacecraft and the carrier and the spacecraft are going to circle.
I have arrived at D's location. Okay. Yep. Turning around.
All right, good deal. Sounds like they're getting in the vehicle. and they're going to be driving up the road to the drop location so they get that fantastic view right underneath the spacecraft whenever they do the drop. So stand by for more acquisition of signal from Jack Indy. It's not a drink, Curry, for breakfast. It's their names, Jack Indy.
Just pile it in.
We have live commentary from Jack as they load the vehicle here.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a journey for them, but I know that they'll be able to make it out there in time to catch this. And it'll also be pretty obvious which plane it is because there is a TFR, a flight restriction in place for the area around Spaceport America. So there won't be any other planes or vehicles to deal with.
Yep. And we are going to work on continuing trying to reacquire that visual from the robotic tracking camera. It went into the clouds and we could not see it anymore. The trick here is to look for contrails. So Gage is going to be scanning the sky at some point when it reaches a certain altitude and certain atmospheric conditions, it may begin to generate a contrail. And I've been out there scanning the sky looking for the carrier aircraft to reappear, to be reacquired. And that contrail is the number one thing to look for. So it's going to continue its climb out. We're going to continue to work to get y'all reacquired views of the spacecraft. It was in the clouds, so we couldn't show it to you there. But stick with us, because do we have a drop time yet? Have they communicated the drop time?
I have not seen anything for an exact drop time. Again, it's roughly about 45 minutes to an hour after takeoff, though. That's about what we know.
I will make sure I have their everything feed up here so that if they tweet any official information, we can share it with you. They have tweeted, they've just now tweeted the successful takeoff from Spaceport America. Let's go Galactic 07 was the last update from Virgin Galactic 1 minute ago. Is Bideford gifting subs again? Is that what's happening here? It is. Bideford gifted NASA Spaceflight memberships. Thank you for all the support. We always see that name in chat. It's always popping up. So we appreciate you sharing the membership program with 10 folks there. I hope I didn't miss some other ones. I didn't click on them all. But thank you so much for the long time and substantial support, Bideford. Super chat hop through as well. Deborah Jean, I see Deborah Jean commenting on a lot of videos. Deborah Jean, thank you so much. I saw that you commented on this week's Spaceflight recently. Jack, go ahead.
I hate to break in here while you're thanking people because they are amazing. We can't do this without their support. But one thing that we can do with their support is a really amazing thing that we've joked about many times. All the times that we've come out here for Virgin Galactic launches, we have a car cam. You should be seeing car cam, producers.
Hold up. We'll see in just a second here.
Look at that.
So we are going at the speed limit as safely as possible to the drop location.
We have talked about this so many times, and usually it's Jack driving alone. So not very easy to do that in a safe manner when it's just one person. But now we have a vehicle operator and a camera operator independently working, and we are able to bring you a live feed from the vehicle as it crosses the cattle guard and is going to take a right turn here up north to Ingle. There's the right turn. And it is on that long straight road chasing the spacecraft up to the drop zone. You can see it up there on FlightAware.
Virgin Galactic has their chase plane. We have our chase car.
We have our chase car. Nice. Now, this is very experimental. There's not a lot of cell signal out there, so we'll see how this lasts. We may be switching back and forth. But we did get a little bit of car cam there. We'll see if we can reacquire it in just a second. It's the chase car. Nice.
Plane looks like it's getting up to nearing 10,000 feet in altitude.
All right. I'm going to see if I can't pop in and grab some questions here. If I get over to the right place, if you've got questions for us, tag us in chat. I was trying to just grab some questions straight as well, right out of chat. But let's see if we've got some questions we can ask that have been tagged here. Live stream panels.
In the meantime, while you're looking through that, I can read you some fun facts.
Sure, go for it.
On this particular mission for Virgin Galactic, this will mark their second spaceflight this year, the 37th human that they have flown to space, and their 12th overall flight into space. In addition, the pilot for this one, Jamil Janjua, will become Virgin Galactic's 7th pilot to journey to space on Galactic 07, marking, again, the company's 7th commercial space mission and their 7th research mission. And per Virgin Galactic, VMS Eve is climbing with VSS Unity to approximately 45,000 feet, at which point Spaceship will be released and the rocket motor will ignite.
It's a little bit higher than your commercial flight there. Like if you're in a commercial flight, you're usually tooling along around 35,000 feet. And so they're going 10,000 plus higher than you'd normally see in a commercial flight. Your altitude will vary a little bit. They try to avoid weather and turbulence and that sort of stuff. But here they are going higher than a commercial flight, and that's just the carrier aircraft. When the rocket engines ignite on the spacecraft, they'll go even higher. Let me say thanks to some folks here that have done some super chats I didn't grab. Peter Weingartner says, "What a week you've been having. You're all troopers." Peter, I think we operate on excitement and probably a little bit of adrenaline. We love doing this. This isn't like time to make the donuts and we sort of drag ourselves into work and we hate what we do, but it pays the bills. Like, we are so excited about doing this, being able to share it with folks. I don't know how many people we're sharing it with right now. Over 10,000 people hanging out with us. So we are definitely having a week. There is a lot of exciting spaceflight things for us to share, and we are driven by our excitement to get out there and share it with you. Thank you so much.
I've got to say, the adrenaline, very real at this moment as we are trying to get to this drop location. When you are working on a time crunch like this, it really wakes you up.
It really wakes you up. Nice, D. D, checking in from our chase vehicle.
All the hotels in Las Cruces were booked. So we ended up sleeping, quote unquote, for like 2 hours at a rest area. This is on top of the no sleep for Starship and everything else. So, but it doesn't matter.
You can see Jack is in a little bit of a cell area there. Tough to get the connection from Jack. But we copied what you were saying, Jack.
And really cool here, you can see in real time where Jack and D are located right now. The DYs, that is the chase vehicle. You can see the bottom right there, the runway at Spaceport America.
Good times. Let me see if I can't grab just a few more. I think I tried to click that one, but that's okay. Wilbo, I did get Wilbo earlier. Hit me up in DMs over on Discord. I've talked with Wilbo on Discord before. There's a member Discord, and if you're a member of the membership program, you can talk to us behind the scenes. We share like behind the scenes videos and little things that we show to the members. Lots of photographs that come in from Starbase of daily operations. We don't just release every single photo we take because we take so many photos. But we do a sort of a daily dump to members. So if you really want to get into the nitty-gritty of what's happening, the membership program is the place to be. We got RC Horseman in there as well. RC Horseman did 10 Red Team memberships. Detlef Breyer became a Padrat member. We've got Anonymous. Got something from the shop saying, "You guys rock. Thanks for the coverage." Astro Loveless Nephew?
We have live views back, by the way, just for a moment here.
Did Gage catch it? Gage caught it.
It appears so.
It's the contrail. You see the contrail and you know where to aim. The robotic tracking camera Gage has reacquired the track as you see the carrier aircraft and the spacecraft continuing their climb up to the drop altitude.
On their way to 45,000 feet.
Oh, you can follow the contrail. Yeah, you can zoom in. You just got to follow the contrail. It's nice. It's like pan the camera in this direction to find the aircraft. There you go. Gage, always the consummate tracking professional with these robotic cameras. It's literally like playing a video game.
And literally just using a trackpad which is even more impressive.
Well, that's a personal decision, but you know. What a view. Look at that.
Yeah, again, that bluish part in the middle of those two sections there, that is the spaceship itself, VSS Unity, underneath the mothership, VMS Eve.
Thank you, Sawyer.
You're welcome, Doss.
All right. How long has it been since liftoff? Did we get... I bet you Jonathan McDowell tweeted the liftoff time. You can always trust Jonathan to tweet that stuff. I'll pull it up real quick. $14:28 UTC. So 28 would put us at 3:50, 30, 20, 23 minutes ago. Did I quick math that correctly?
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
you did.
All right, 23 minutes ago. So continuing its climb, we expected it to be 45 minutes to an hour to climb all the way up to the drop zone. Look at this. Is that the vehicle camera and they saw the contrail?
Yes, that is D inside the chase vehicle on the right side, gauge tracking on the left side.
Axis cameras, I'd like to have a chat with your firmware team about color correction. You can tell the difference between D's camera on the right, where you can see that the sky in New Mexico is in fact blue, and the Axis robotic security camera there, making it look like it's a dismal gray day, but it looks like it's actually a beautiful day in southern New Mexico, doesn't it?
It really does. Perfect day to fly.
All right. Let's say thanks to just a couple more people here. Folks joining the membership program. David J. Helfrich, maybe. Thanks for becoming a PadRat member. We've got Olivia May Julius as well, a Red Team member there. And then Coco Katz gifted a Red Team membership out to the general viewership as a whole. Let me see if I can't get a question out of chat here, Sawyer, that we might be able to field.
And while you're looking at that, the latest barometric altitude per the tracking data is now over 40,000 feet up.
Over 40,000 feet up, continuing that climb. Outstanding. Let's see here. How big is VSS Eve?
That's
I can't.
Yeah,
I can't cite like, oh, the wingspan is this. I don't know off the top of my head. I've walked around it in person, and it is. You ever been on one of those regional jets, right? Like where you can't carry your bag on, you have to gate check your bag, and you're like, wow, it's cramped in this regional jet, right? Smaller than that for the spacecraft, much smaller than the regional jet I fly down to Brownsville. But inside, it seems like it has a little bit more room than the regional jet because they're not trying to cram the seats in quite as much as the revenue share passengers on those little regional flights. There's quite a bit of room for them to flip around inside the capsule whenever they go into the microgravity environment. They do cheat a little bit. I can say this. This isn't Virgin Galactic. I'm not on the Virgin Galactic stream right now. If we get internal views from a Virgin Galactic stream, and I'm not sure if that's actually going to happen today or not, there's a mirror, a very strategically placed mirror at the back of the capsule that makes, or the back of the spacecraft that makes it look much larger than it is. If you've ever been in a bar in New York City or another place where there are very small bar cramped spaces, right? Sometimes they have a mirror on one wall and it gives the illusion that it's way bigger than it actually is. And it's actually really clever that they have the mirror there at the back of the spacecraft, and it really does give it a feeling of a lot more space. Of course, if you want to see the actual space, you just look out the window.
Yeah, and by the way, it's about 14 cubic meters of space on the inside, so 500 cubic feet.
500 cubic feet. I try to put that in like an apartment level, but I think that's smaller than a small apartment, right? I mean, it's a spacecraft.
It would still probably be about 4,000 a month in New York City, but yeah.
4,000 a month in New York City. All right. We might need to refresh our flight aware. I think sometimes it may get behind or freeze up. If one of the producers could look at that for us. Teresa, we apologize that we've interrupted your pie making. Teresa did you bring enough to share?
Ooh, what flavor?
I don't know what flavor, right? Where are they flying around? CLLC. This is actually the southern part of the state of New Mexico in the United States. It's a desert. There's not a lot out there. You've got a town over to the northwest called Truth or Consequences, and Elephant Butte is a big lake up in that area. And then down to I think that has actually the lake you see there, if that's Interstate 25 going north to south. And down to the south, you've got Las Cruces. And a little bit further south, about 50 minutes south of Las Cruces, you've got El Paso, Texas. But they are basically in the middle of the desert out there in New Mexico.
Yep, and you'll see their kind of loop area ends up being in this little valley in a way, because you've got sort of the mountains on the right, and then beyond that, you also have White Sands Missile Range nearby, too.
Yep, over to the eastern side, there is this is actually a mountain range. Like when we go to views of the hangar, you can see in the distance the mountain range, and it's all just flat desert until you get to those mountains. Go ahead. We may have had intermittent signal from the field there, but we'll keep plugging ahead. Going to continue to look for some questions here in chat. I got the pie making. That wasn't really a question. It was more of a comment. Sawyer, here's one that might be interesting too. There's the mountains in the background of the hangar. This might be interesting to talk about just for a minute. How are the regulations different for a spacecraft compared to a rocket? I mean, spacecraft versus rocket. This spacecraft is technically rocket powered. It is a crew-rated spacecraft because there are human beings aboard. Are there any real big distinctions between a air-launched, like aircraft-carried spacecraft like this and, say, a capsule launched on a rocket?
Not necessarily. I mean, it still follows the same deal with the FAA in terms of clearing out airspace. If there's any water nearby, clearing that out, which not an issue here in the middle of the desert. And then they continue to track the flight while it's in space. If there is any anomaly or anything that occurs that is slightly off nominal, they still have to report it to the FAA. For example, in the previous flight, there was a pin that dropped that wasn't supposed to drop, so they did report that to the FAA, and that has been fixed since.
Right.
So it's the same type of regulations. It's just it takes off from the air instead of the ground. That's really the only difference.
All right. Still a lot of work to make sure that there's safety involved because there are people aboard, not only for the spacecraft, the aircraft itself, but the area around. They do the TFRs. They don't let private planes just be flying around in the area. The ground underneath, all those sorts of things. That's why they're operating out there at Spaceport instead of, say over Boston or something like that, right? So it is one of the reasons that Spaceport America is such a good choice for these sorts of flights, these sorts of operations. Sawyer, if you could cover a couple things, I'm going to do a little bit of troubleshooting in the background here, technically, if you could hold it down for just a minute.
Sure can. So, a reminder for those who are just joining us, this is Galactic 07, the 7th commercial research flight for Virgin Galactic, and what is expected to be the final flight of the VSS Unity. This will be the last flight of this type of spaceplane as they go for their Delta class, which they hope to have online in 2026. So there's going to be a couple-year gap after this flight before we see the next one. We know that there are 4 people aboard in addition to 2 pilots. So far, we only know the identity of one of them, and that's Tuva Adasever, who is Turkish. Will be doing research. They are contracted through Axiom Space. Some of the research that they'll be doing includes having a personal dosimeter on board that was developed by Turkish universities, studying human performance and physiology during all phases of suborbital flight, examining how to administer accurate doses of insulin in microgravity, in addition to monitoring changes to genes and other parts inside the body during suborbital spaceflight. That is where we are at right now, taking off about 30 minutes ago from Spaceport America, as mentioned, in the middle of New Mexico there, and it has been flying and gaining altitude. The drop altitude is about 45,000 feet. Right now you'll see it is kind of going towards the south. We'll likely see it turn back to the north before it does its drop of the vehicle and the ignition of the hybrid motor known as Rocket Motor 2 on the back of that vehicle. It does not gimbal, that is a fixed engine, but the angle of the engine allows it, once it's dropped, to then climb, go into the edge of space, and then come back and land at the 12,000-foot runway back at Spaceport America. How's that, Dos? Enough time for you to do some troubleshooting?
Well, I mean, there's probably an infinite amount of troubleshooting I can do, but I got some troubleshooting, and I'm waiting for a unit to reboot here, and then I will hop back over to have a look at it. But we're working, for some reason, the flight aware that we have here is hopping back to a previous thing for some reason. We're going to work on getting that updated, but have they reached Ingle yet? I wonder. It looks like the motion may be stopped. There's the robotic camera scanning the skies. A little bit of broken cloud cover there.
Yeah, I mean, it is at 45,000 feet, so that is the drop altitude. It's there. It has made a turn towards the north, right around Las Cruces. It made that turn and is just heading north now towards the Truth or Consequences area.
All right. And this is what you see, like when you're operating one of these remote cameras, or even if you're there in person, scanning the sky, trying to find an area that you can see, specifically the contrail. It's like an arrow in the sky pointing towards the vehicle. There is a fair amount of clouds up there in the sky, isn't there?
Yeah, but we'll see what we're able to see.
We'll see what we get, yeah. It's currently 9:02 local time there. There we go. There we have that big southern loop where it's turned back around.
Yep, this is from the ADS-B data that almost all aircraft now have to share.
And I'm going to check in with our mobile folks, Dee and Jack, to see if they've gotten to set up for the drop zone yet. But there we have the track doing that big button hook almost. It looks like somebody should throw a pass to him now. And heading up north, you can see the lake there. That should be Elephant Butte Lake. You can see on the right-hand side White Sands Missile Range as well. See how they're using that western border of the missile range, because they don't typically have commercial flights flying over the missile range there. And that gives them the opportunity to create this large keep-out zone for this flight. And it sounds like Dee and Jack have reached the drop zone and are going to be scanning the skies for the drop.
There we go. And now we'll continue to track and wait for them to release.
All right. And again, folks, no guarantees here. There are clouds out there today. There's no guarantee that we will have visual on the spacecraft when it drops. But if it's possible, from out there, we've got two, can I say ace camera operators, ace trackers on the job with large glass cannons. The lenses they use are ridiculous. Scanning the sky, and if there is a possibility to get eyes on this aircraft and spacecraft when the drop occurs, we'll have the views here for you, but no guarantees. There's a little bit of blue up above them, though.
What I think is really cool about this is that once it does release, again, this is a hand-flown spaceship. This isn't an automated thing. You have actual pilots that will be flying it once it does release and doing all of the maneuvers.
Jack actually got to go through the simulator for that. In the hangar, they have a simulator where they practice, of course, over and over and over again. And Jack got to go through an entire drop and landing on the runway with one of their pilot trainers. We've got a video of that, and I think at some point it'll be. I don't think that's actually released yet. Maybe I
Not
shouldn't have
yet.
said that. Okay, we
Well,
are going to release it at some point.
Leaks coming soon.
Leaks, jeez.
I have seen it though. It is going to be quite the video to watch when it does come out. It's very interesting.
And Sawyer, if you could grab some questions or something like that, I'm going to see if I can't help with the feeds out there.
Sure. Let me see what we've got in terms of questions here. We got one. How long till they're at the needed height? At this point, they are at the needed altitude of about 45,000 feet. The question is going to be basically getting it into the area where they prefer to do the drop. In that drop zone, where they'll ignite the engine, they'll climb a little bit. They will then feather, spin the vehicle around, and get ready for re-entry and landing back on that runway at Spaceport America. So at this point, it's not so much altitude as it is getting into their preferred location within the drop zone for this flight. Let's see. Can VSS Eve air launch a SpaceX Starship? No.
What?
That is a definite not happening. Just for reference, I mean, SpaceShipTwo is about 18 meters long and 8 meters wide, and it fits neatly underneath the mothership there. So, yeah, that's quite a small vehicle compared to the monstrosity that is the nearly 70-meter tall full stack of Starship. So, probably not. Continue looking here. Rockhound saying, do you think that future vehicles will still be launched by VMS Eve? I don't see why they wouldn't be at this point. Again, they'll probably make some improvements to the vehicle. The specs will be roughly similar from the little details that we do know about it, but we'll see. The hope is that we'll be able to continue to fly and launch from it. Oh, there we go. We have views again.
We've got a acquisition of plane. So you can see still all together, the drop has not occurred yet. Is this from the drop zone cameras, or is this... Let me get some information on that real quick. This is CP11. This is actually visible back from Spaceport, the robotic camera. Nice work, Gage.
Beautiful tracking on that. And again, as of this moment, VMS Eve, Andy Edgel and CJ Sturko are the ones piloting that. Getting ready for the drop to begin piloting once that happens is VSS Unity Commander Nicola Pasile and pilot Jamil Janjua.
Outstanding. Again, folks, there's a little bit of clouds out there, but that contrail points right to the aircraft and spacecraft still currently together. I'm going to make sure I refresh first before I answer this, but I don't know that we have an anticipated drop time released yet. But let me make sure that Virgin Galactic hasn't tweeted any new information.
I have not seen them zeet anything yet.
Zeet, thank you. Yeah, last update was 13 minutes ago, it looks like. And it was the takeoff that they had posted. They were climbing to 45,000 feet. That was 23 minutes ago. But I'm not seeing an expected drop time currently.
We should roughly be in the approximate time of when we've seen drops in the past, at least.
Yep. We'll keep looking. Jack and Dee are both out there as well, scanning the skies. And if they are able to get eyes on it, we will share it with you here. And I now show nominal feeds from both of their camera systems. Somehow, out in the desert, we're pushing a total of about 16 megabits from two different cameras. So we've got that going for us, which is nice. Oh!
Here we go.
Briefly.
D has it.
Yeah. On a different camera there. So they're out near the drop zone, but they're getting a side shot of it right now. And a lot of times when we see the drop, it's directly above Jack when it's been caught. So is it going to go around for another loop, or is it going to drop sort of off the side here? Will be interesting to see. But they have acquired it out there, parked at the drop zone. We'll
Right,
see
there's always
what's
that
going to happen.
potential.
Yep. Yeah, there's the two different angles. Look at how different those two angles are. One all the way back at spaceport on the left, and one from near the drop zone on the right.
Yep, they have to always still do their final safety checks, final weather checks, everything like that, before they actually go ahead with the release and the ignition of that hybrid motor.
Yep. Looks like the clouds got us from the robotic camera down there at spaceport, but still eyes on it from the drop zone area.
Still beautiful views of it.
There you go. Looks like we've reacquired it again.
In theory, within about the next 10 minutes or so, we should have that drop.
What's the flight track say? Are they up at the altitude that Virgin announced, the 45,000 feet? I believe they reached that altitude and they're sort of doing the racetrack pattern now.
Yep, they've been at 45,000 feet for a little while now, so they're
Yep.
kind of maintaining that altitude.
All right. And hey, folks, I do see a lot of excitement about other footage that's dropped. I'm not going to ignore that. But right now, we're going to keep our eyes on this that is happening live, Galactic 07 and people aboard the spacecraft here that will be touching the edge of space shortly. And we'll look at that other footage. It'll still be around after we get a drop here. The question is, will we be able to see the drop? These clouds every now and then hopping in and blocking the views. Also making it very difficult to reacquire afterwards, but let's see what we get. There on the track, the spaceport is down, I guess that's actually near the middle of the track. You can see where it took off. And currently, the aircraft moving away from both the cameras and the drop zone. So I'm going to expect, it's passed over Elephant Butte, it looks like. Another turn, a big sweeping turn to the south. And it's going to come back over near that drop zone. Remember, they can't just drop it anywhere because they need to manage the energy after the rocket engine is done, after it's touched the edge of space. It's basically a glider. It doesn't have jet engines aboard to cross range, to fly, to coast to some other airport or something like that. They do need to drop in a very specific location so that the energy that gets stored up in the spacecraft, the kinetic energy that the rocket engine puts into the spacecraft, can be used to glide it back to a landing on the runway. So they don't just get to drop it from anywhere. They do have a specific zone that they drop it in.
And it's not like they can just reignite the motor afterwards, which
Right.
we talked about the fact that it's kind of a hybrid motor. So it does use the solid fuel, the hydroxyl terminated polybutadiene, HTPB, because that rolls right off the tongue, along with the liquid nitrous oxide.
You said it
oxidizer.
like first try. Well done, Sawyer.
Oof, thank you.
Apparently, trains are going by. The drop zone has these big freight trains that drive past, and it is possible that the trains are interfering with our ability to get signal because they are huge hunks of metal, and they are situated right between civilization, where the cell phone towers are, and our camera platforms. So hopefully those trains scooch on by, and we get our signal back from the cameras. Hopefully we get visibility as well. If you like trains, the drop zone is a great place to hang out and watch. Ingle, New Mexico is the name of a little, it's not even a town, it's a building that's labeled Ingle. And I don't think it's part of a ranch or something like that. I don't even know if it has a post office or anything, but trains drive past there. Interesting New Mexico facts. We spend a lot of time out in New Mexico for Spaceport, supporting Spaceport, what they do. And Jack and Dee are out there right now. 1 week from now, I will be out at Spaceport supporting the Spaceport America Cup the Student Intercollegiate Rocket Launch Competition. Over 100 teams from all over the world travel to Spaceport America to launch their high-powered sport rockets, and that's going to be happening next week. The launches will occur the 19th through the 22nd. I'll be interviewing some of the students on the 18th, talking about their rockets and payloads and stuff like that. But they're out there now. I'll be back out there supporting what the students are doing because they have some very cool rockets and some very cool payloads. I continue to talk about other things because the carrier aircraft has not started its turn to the south yet on the flight track.
Yeah, it's trying to go out of our zoom limit here, out of our zoom area.
Yeah. Again, that's all expected. The racetrack, you can see it almost looks like a... Are they turning left? No, they're actually turning right, so I can't say a NASCAR track. This is left turns, right?
Right.
The spacecraft... Left turn. Yeah, okay. They'll be turning to the right here to come back around to the south. And the drop area... You see the lake in the middle, right? That blue, watery area. Surprising, because it's the desert. The drop area is sort of to the right and a little bit to the south of that lake area.
I also
Ricky
still love that
Bobby
there's a
is
city
not on this
that
flight.
basically.
Go ahead.
I love that again that there's a city that changed its name as part of a thing to appease an old game show.
A game show. Truth or Consequences, New Mexico. You got it.
Yes, Truth or Consequences, famously hosted for quite a while by Bob Barker of The Price is Right.
All I've got is Happy Gilmore quotes there, so we'll move right along. Here's a good question from Evan Norton. What is the expected flight path of VSS Unity once dropped? If it follows the previous flight patterns, we expect the carrier aircraft to do a southern turn. You see it starting to do that big sweeper right now. And we would see the drop. The spacecraft would continue to the south as it does its hop to the edge of space. And then it will glide back down to the south past the runway, then turn around and come back to the runway. Most likely, if they took off facing north, they'll probably land facing north if that's the way the winds are going today. I do not believe... Sometimes they'll do a full turn, just depending on the exact conditions where they bleed off a little bit of that energy. But we do expect it to be a southern drop and then a landing going to the north based on the takeoff conditions we've seen so far.
Exactly. And for the spaceship portion of it, that will kind of do its sort of parabolic track, reaching 3 times the speed of sound, going almost completely straight up. Then they will hit their weightless point, and they will then feather the vehicle to rotate it in preparation for re-entry, also giving the people on board a fantastic view of the Earth. Their apogee will be about 300,000 feet up before they then reconfigure to come back in belly first to minimize the buildup of heat, help with stability, and deal with drag, before then getting through the thickest part of the atmosphere and gliding in for a landing.
All right. Reports from the field, the train is apparently speeding up, and they can see the end of the train, so hopefully we have signal back there. How are we doing visibility-wise, though, D? Are the clouds blocking y'all out, or are you able to get some holes in the blue sky where the drop may occur? I can just read it in back-channel text.
Yep, because at this point, hopefully this will be the final turn before the drop.
One way to find out.
That is true.
We've got another update from Virgin Galactic. This came down just 2 minutes ago, saying, send it. As we ascend to our release altitude, the Galactic 07 crew will be conducting cabin checks and preparing for release. So some information in there, but it looks like they are proceeding with those preps and cabin checks before the release. And here on the flight track, you can see that big turn almost coming back around to the south. Will this be their opportunity to drop? That is a possibility here because we are coming up on just under an hour from takeoff time, aren't we?
Yep, and that's about when they would usually drop, as mentioned, about 45 minutes to an hour after taking off. And did they really just say send it?
They did say send it, yes, with an exclamation point and everything.
I kind of love it.
I appreciate the enthusiasm there. Let's drop this candle. Nice. Well, it is. You drop it, you release, and then you light the candle. The order of operations is important there.
Yes, very important.
We do have a Starlink out there. I see somebody in chat asking if we have a Starlink. The Starlink, because of the time that it takes Starlink to acquire a signal and actually get online, it is very difficult to drive it to a location and put it out. Sometimes it's up to 30 minutes before it'll actually acquire a useful signal from the satellites. So driving up to the drop zone, Starlink is not a good candidate to get us a signal from the drop zone unless we had multiple vehicles, and we don't have multiple vehicles today. So the Starlink is deployed next to the robotic tracking camera out near Spaceport, acting as a backup connection for that. And basically, we'd have to spend more money if we were trying to get another vehicle, 2 drivers, then we couldn't do a lot of other things. So that is our decision we made for today. But we are aware of Starlink. We were one of the first people to use Starlink to send live video from Starbase. We were working on that a very long time ago when we were first able to get a Starlink, and we figured out how to push video across it. But we do have one out today. It is just not with the vehicle because of the acquisition. The satellite acquisition times are much longer than advertised.
Well,
It is minutes if 30 minutes counts. Go, Jack.
Conditions from the drop zone. I see blue sky. There's some wispy clouds. Howard Hughes would be happy because it gives us context for flight. It's gonna be a good one. I think they have started to turn south now, if not already headed south. So hopefully we'll get lens on it here shortly. The trains have cleared out, and I am amped up on adrenaline. So let's do this. Let's drop this candle.
We've got a good signal from both of y'all's video feeds, Jack. I show good bit rates on both of you. So the trains, the massive metal rolling signal blockers, are being out of the way. That's a good thing for us. Let's say that.
Yep, and it has indeed turned south, Jack. So should be coming your way.
And it took off at 8:28 local time. It is now 9:22 local time. So like we said, just coming up on that 1 hour mark, and you see it doing the southern turn, that big sweeping turn, the carrier aircraft headed down to the south towards the drop zone. And as soon as we get acquisition of video signal from any of our cameras, we've got 3 cameras out there scanning the sky, we will show it to you. But right now, we do not see it with the old Mark 1 eyeballs out there or the robotic camera.
Yep, because we should be coming up on the drop shortly here.
Do we have a clear sky view or something so we can all help scan the sky here? When Mark II eyeball. Rat guy.
There's the skies over Spaceport America.
Yeah. Let's just keep an eye on the wide shots here and see if we can see. There is blue up there. It's just going to come down to acquiring the aircraft. Reports from Spaceport America that it might be less than 4 minutes to drop, which would put us right there at that 1 hour mark. If anybody sees a contrail, sing out.
Yes, I think we're all staring at it, looking, trying to see what we can see here.
I'm squinting down to 2010 to try and see which pixel might reveal the spacecraft. We are looking to the north right now. So this camera is situated down at Spaceport. You can actually see the Gate Guardian there to the lower right and the flag waving, but this is a northward facing view, which is the direction the carrier aircraft and spacecraft are approaching from.
Yes, they are heading south, so we are looking north as it heads towards the camera.
Yep. I think I said that right, didn't I?
Yep.
It's like double guess myself, second guess myself.
It should be just passing Butte Lake now. Or Elephant Butte Lake, sorry.
Gotcha. So some of those clouds you see at the bottom of your screen here. Oh, there we go. We've got acquisition. Outstanding.
VSS Unity still attached. And this is from Jack.
Excellent timing. Folks, we've done this a couple times. Jack has been out there multiple times with fantastic spotting here. They know what they're doing. Just around the drop zone. This is where you get to that part of the tripod where you run out of tilt. Because the carrier aircraft, the spacecraft are just above you. But you are looking at a live feed of Galactic 07 soaring over the New Mexican desert. All still attached. Carrier aircraft. Yeah, nice. Clear up some clouds. Thank you. Can y'all tell this isn't scripted? Like, we're just telling you what we think in real time.
There we go. We have drop.
Outstanding.
Ignition. And there she goes. VSS Unity on her final flight.
2 pilots, 4 passengers aboard. That solid rocket motor propelling the spacecraft up to touch the edge of space.
And it's a fixed engine. It doesn't move or swivel. Like you were pointing out, it gets difficult once it gets this high up to be able to tilt the tripod up to keep going with it.
Yep. Still trying to reacquire it. There you go. Trailing that smoke plume.
Getting up to speeds faster than 3 times the speed of sound.
And there's burnout. Now on a ballistic trajectory. This is going to get tough because you lack the smoke trail, you lack the big exhaust plume. It's so high, it becomes just a pixel in the viewfinder.
Yep, so once that cuts off very shortly, they should be entering the weightlessness portion where they will be able to unbuckle and float about the cabin.
Yep.
There'll be a couple of minutes of weightlessness. That is when a lot of them will take out personal research experiments and conduct those on board, especially the Turkish astronaut from Axiom that we're aware of on there as well.
Yep. So the drop did occur. This is the gray sky. We're scanning the sky right now, but once the spacecraft engine burns out and the trail stops trailing it, I guess you could say, it's really difficult to see way up there in the sky, especially with just a little bit of haze. You can see the carrier aircraft, notably no longer has the blue bottom spacecraft underneath it there. And so the left-hand track is the carrier aircraft, which will loiter. Carrier aircraft has 4 jet engines on board, so it can actually fly around like a normal airliner, right? And we'll get the spacecraft doing its turn, coming back down to the runway and landing first, and then the carrier aircraft landing second because it does have the ability to loiter. Right now, the runway is reserved for the spacecraft, and they are attempting to locate the spacecraft. Well, we'll keep an eye on both for now.
Exactly. And again, at this point, they will start the feathering, which basically the parts on the back that kind of look like the rear tails, those will actually move as the vehicle gets into space.
Yep.
And the vehicle turns. So it will kind of end up basically upside down, which allows for better views of the Earth through the windows, as well as then preparing it for re-entry.
Gotcha.
I just got to say that was so cool to see.
How you feeling, D?
Great. I am holding my phone in one hand to talk to you real quick as I continue to track the mothership.
Outstanding.
Did we take D's feed at all on that? I think they tracked it far better than I did.
I'm thinking we might not have had a feed at that time, but I can go and check it.
Uh, well, that is unfortunate. I will try to work some slow-mo replays to get back into the car.
Yeah, all good. Don't sweat it.
You know, I mean, there's people in space right now that, again, human-controlled spacecraft. I can't stress how cool that is enough.
It really is the thing. Like when you have a capsule coming back down, Jack, you're just sort of along for the ride, right? And here you actually have two humans with hands-on controls that are controlling this spacecraft down to a landing on the runway. I guess you could say almost like Shuttle. I know Shuttle had a lot of automation to it, but we have not had human-piloted spacecraft. There's just not many of them. And you know something, I'll say it. There's a huge debate. Oh, geez, are they doing anything? Are they just along for the ride? There's an argument that if you're in a capsule and you're just along for the ride and maybe you have a button to press, the folks aboard this spacecraft that are flying with hands on the control of this spacecraft are doing far more to bring it down safely than folks that were riding in a capsule. Jack,
Yep.
is that a fair thing to say about human-piloted spacecraft?
Sorry, adrenaline dump. Sure.
Sure. Okay.
Yep.
Thanks, Jack.
Nicola Pasila and Jamil Janju are the ones that are hand flying VSS Unity for its final flight.
All right, so we're still scanning the skies. That's the carrier aircraft again on the left-hand side. And that spacecraft would just be a tiny dot in the sky.
Yep, so at this point, it's very likely that their research experiments will have been completed. They'll have had some time to look out the window. Next, they will need to get back to their seats, buckle into their harnesses as they then prepare for the reentry, of which, again, the tail booms have been feathered for and adjusted to. And in this unique
We just got
feathered
sonic booms here.
Nice.
There we go. So they're coming back then belly first.
We'll keep scanning the sky here. We do have the robotic camera down at the runway, so hopefully we can catch it coming in for a landing. That's always tough for us to do when Jack runs out there by himself, goes up to the drop zone to try and catch the drop like you just saw the fantastic track of. And then trying to run back down to get the landing as well is a little tough. But with the robotic camera, we're going to see if we can't catch that landing as well. So Gage, at some point, if we are tracking the carrier aircraft, we're probably going to want to start scanning the sky on the approach to the runway to see if we can't catch that landing.
It should be passing right near Spaceport America now. There is data acquired from airplane trackers again, as
Okay.
it's now down to 33,000 feet. Just to the west right now of the runway, dropping quickly, which is kind of expected. So
Yep.
it's nothing to worry about. Ground
It is,
speed
it's a
about
glider.
270 knots.
We'll look around. There's the Gate Guardian. I think we'll see the hangar if we continue to the right here.
Continuing to glide down now below 32,000 feet.
All right. We'll keep scanning the sky. But again, it's just a pixel. I can't stress how much the contrail helps you point to it. It is literally a big arrow in the sky pointing to where you should point your camera. And when it's in glider mode and not trailing the smoke or the exhaust or the contrail from the carrier aircraft, it is very difficult to acquire. But we're going to keep looking.
Yep, just like the shuttle. Once the engines are off, they don't turn back on. So.
Yep.
Sorry, I had to get a shuttle reference in there still.
Had to get a shuttle reference in. Nice.
Hadn't had
Hey,
one yet.
Pewter Cam, I appreciate you. Dang, this is so freaking cool. That's the sentiment I like to see. This is something that is very cool. It's exciting. There are people aboard. More ways to experience space, more ways to push technology forward, and honestly, more people who have the gumption to be part of this sort of thing. The better we will be. The better off we will be.
And there you go. Now you can see the two vehicles there. Obviously, the red on the top left was the mothership. The blue
Yep.
on the bottom there is the spaceship.
I like how the mothership icon is actually wacky.
Oh, look at that. That is brilliant. Down to 25,000 feet already.
We need to keep it like that security truck. We need that security truck to point at it if they see it with their eyes. It is easier to see it with your Mark I eyeballs than it is to acquire it with a robotic tracking camera when you're driving it from 2,000 miles away. You just have that single non-binocular vision camera lens, and it is definitely tough to acquire.
And again, the people that are hand flying this right now are continuing to try and manage their speed and altitude as they glide. So it looks like now they are going to start their turn in towards the runway, landing to the north at 22,000 feet currently.
I like this comment from Christopher French. Virgin Galactic, you land, you get out. It's at an airport. There is champagne. Like, you're not kidding, though. There's like an entire reception area. There's a little restaurant and everything. Like, you're not in the middle of a field anywhere or splashed down in the ocean. You land at an airport with a big airstrip, and you get out of the spacecraft that you just landed with on the runway, and then you go over to the reception area where there's air conditioning and snacks. It's quite the experience.
Gage, at this point, it should be due south of the runway.
In those people might have been pointing. This is the sort of thing, if we knew exactly where it was, then we would probably be able to zoom in and see it. But with a wide shot, it's still probably just a pixel or two. But it is coming this way. So, there's some people up close. Maybe those people are pointing as well.
That's what we're hoping. And you can also see the chase plane showing up there as well as another vehicle.
Yeah, Gage is continuing to scan the sky with the tracking camera, and as soon as we get it, we'll all be very excited. Hey, E4 Tango, thank you for the comment there, the support. Great coverage, NASA Spaceflight. Hey, everybody can hang out and watch with us. There's all sorts of opinions and comments that come through, but we have a lot of fun doing this, and we're not going to let a couple YouTube comments hold us down.
Especially, again, final flight of VSS Unity here.
We really should have briefed those security folks to point for us. But they're looking in that direction, so I assume that as long as we watch their heads...
Yeah, they could very well be our tracking guide.
Christopher French, that's a great question. Where did Dr. Carman put the Carman line again? The original Carman line put forward by Dr. Carman was around 78 to 80 kilometers, not the 100 kilometers that you typically hear. And what happened with the story of the Carman line is that Carman wasn't sure in the instrumentation that he had access to. And so he increased it, thinking that his measurements and his calculations might not be correct. And what has happened is with our more accurate instrumentation we have today, we can measure more specifically the density of the atmosphere. And we found that Carman's original calculations around 80 kilometers were actually correct. And there was no reason to increase it to 100 kilometers, just a nice round number. But a lot of people like to bring that over here and say, oh, well, the Carman line is this high. The original Carman line was around 80. And they just increased it because they weren't sure of their numbers and their instruments. But as it turns out, their numbers and instruments and calculations were correct. And 80 is about where that ended up.
And this vehicle does pass the 80-kilometer mark. Or 50 miles in freedom units.
Yep. We're still scanning the skies here, y'all. It's below 10,000 feet. It's still west of the field, so it hasn't done its turn to line up on its approach to the runway. Folks still looking at the sky, but I don't see... Oh, that was a bird. I just saw something in the sky all of a sudden.
Well, I'm seeing it turning right about now. Looks like 6,500 feet in altitude.
All right, there's somebody standing on the back of a vehicle.
Is that it? Was that it there? Potentially?
Seen it. Let's see. Oh, is it down low? Is that a dot or is it just above the security truck? Just above the security truck, GH.
All right. I do
There
not
it-
know if you all can hear me
It's
right
on
now,
the it's
but
on the
I do
runway.
have slow-mo on the way.
Nice. It's down on the runway to your left, Gage. It's already gone down on the runway.
There's the chase plane in the air.
Yep, the chase plane just flew past it. It should extend past the hangar. So normally it'll skid to a stop to the left of the hangar from this perspective.
Yeah, it's a good point to note that it does have the skids. So once it's done, it will basically stop on the runway and
Yep.
you'll have some, I believe they're Land Rovers that come out and then tow the vehicle back.
Yeah. Just zoom in on the hangar, Gage. Just go ahead and zoom in on the hangar. Folks, it is tough to acquire it and find the pixels. The hangar's going to be a little bit more over to the right there. You can see it there on the runway.
Yep, on the far right, it looks like.
There we go.
Target
We've got
acquired.
it. So if anybody had any questions, there is the spacecraft down on the runway. Is that a vehicle that's already driven up to it? I see a lot of air conditioning units on top of it. Hey, that's a tough thing to do remotely, folks. The robotically controlled camera and identify the one pixel in the sky that you should look at. But there it is back on the runway. Hey, Gage, no need to apologize at all. That is a very tough thing to do, especially with only one view to go with and nobody right there standing telling you where to point. Remember, Gage is 2,000 miles away from the camera right now, controlling it remotely with just what can be seen through the stream. So we do appreciate you there, Gage. We absolutely appreciate your hard work and all of the tracking that we had up to that point.
Exactly. And at this point, again, from the tweets from Virgin Galactic, we know still that their astronauts 27, 28, 29, and 30 had officially made it to space. They have not fully named them all yet.
They haven't named them all yet. Yes, my feed shows 46 seconds ago, they announced that the feather has locked and lowered.
But there we go. That is another successful flight for Virgin Galactic. And it looked like a perfect way to bring an end to VSS Unity's time flying into space as they get ready to work on their Delta-class vehicles now.
Yep. Oh, Ron, we've looked at it. The latency's not enough, especially at the longer focal lengths. Ron saying, great coverage and some money so DOS can build a tracking camera that uses ADS-B to track. The latency's not quite enough. So you can get the general location, but you still have to pick the pixel out of the sky. You have to have like active radar or something like that, which is a whole other ball of wax. If you want to control a camera with it. And for reasons, that system is more difficult and more tightly controlled if you're trying to build something.
Let's take a look at some of the photos that we've seen now from on board. That
right.
shortly following the release. These are photos released by Virgin Galactic. There is the crew you could see in the microgravity environment there floating around.
Yep.
The backpacks, which do have parachutes on them, still on their backs.
And these are tweeted, zeeted, posted
Yep.
by
and
Virgin
that was
Galactic.
immediately following the feather.
Hey, I'm going to turn off my solo so I can
Okay.
use all the bandwidth for the slow-mo.
Sounds good, D. D is rendering out some slow motion of the drop, right, D? Let's just say right. May have turned the. Okay, cool, good deal. So we'll have that slow motion of the drop for you
I've seen
shortly.
it. I've seen their footage. It's utterly amazing. You're gonna want to stick around and watch this.
Oh, I'm excited. I mean, D is the master of slow motion video anyway, so I'm really excited.
Absolutely. So stick around for just a minute here. It's being uploaded out there from the field. We'll share that slow motion with you. But we can confirm that spaceship VSS Unity is safely on the ground back here at Spaceport America. You can see it there at the end of that massive runway that Spaceport fields. Spaceport fields. One of the reasons it's such a great location to do these flights.
Yep, that is a 12,000 foot long runway.
It's a long runway.
Yes. And it's also at a pretty high altitude, I believe, there, Das, right? It's almost a mile up.
Yeah, I think it is almost a mile. I know that Albuquerque is 7,000 feet. And I think down this way, you're a little bit downhill from Albuquerque. I mean, you're hours south of Albuquerque, but I think just around a mile is right. Everybody's like, oh, Denver, the mile high city. And then you're in Albuquerque, and it's like, well, this is 7,000. What? So I guess they got to have a claim to something. They got pretty mountains there in Denver.
Here we go. It is an altitude of 4,600 feet.
There you go, just under 5,000. Also scanning the feed from Virgin Galactic for any additional updates they may share. That one bush, gosh, the bush blocking the door. They really don't want to release who the astronauts are. They planned in advance to park that thing right behind the bush so the egress door is blocked. I'm kidding. That's not a real thing. This just happens to be where it's skidded to a stop and where we put the remotely controlled camera.
Right. It is, again, we do know the one person, astronaut number 27, Tuva Atasever from Turkey. We're waiting for them to officially announce the names of number 28, 29, and 30, which include someone from New York, someone from California, and someone from Italy.
Gotcha. You know, this is like you have to wait till the seatbelt sign comes off, and then you're waiting for the door to open. But the ramp crew, they're like, you've landed a little early, and the ramp crew's not there yet. I mean, the ramp crew's there. Look at all the vehicles around it. It's a little hatch they crawl out of the bottom to get in and out of the spacecraft. It's such a bummer that little mesquite bush or whatever that Weesatch, I don't know what that scrubby bush is just right there.
A happy little bush, in the words of Bob Ross.
Happy little bush, nice.
But yeah, the other nice thing about this type of vehicle and landing is that as they egress, their families are already out there ready and waiting for them, so they can immediately hop out and hug their loved ones.
Yep.
Which, if you want to learn more about that, we have an article on NASASpaceflight.com. After Galactic 05, I talked to Kelly Girardi, who flew, about what it was like during the actual flight, during the training, and getting off and after the flight.
And again, we
Can I
are
be ridiculous
uploading...
for a second?
Sure, Jack. You're always
It's
ridiculous.
just being you, yeah.
Touche. Touche. I set myself up for
you
that.
set yourself up. You played yourself.
Yeah. So, you know, there's that movie, Trains, Planes, and Automobiles.
Right.
Well, I think we one-upped it today. We had automobile. We had trains. we had planes. But we also had spacecraft. So trains, planes, automobiles, and spacecraft, all here at NSF. Your one-stop shop for stuff. I'm so tired.
I'm so tired, he says. That's what we should do with some of our 24/7 cameras. Like, we tap into the train spotting community viewership. It's like, oh, while we're not watching spacecraft, we'll watch trains at Ingle, New Mexico.
Don't forget, we have covered trains before with the solid rocket boosters coming to Kennedy Space Center.
The SRB trains, that's right.
So we cover trains as well here.
We have a lot of maritime coverage too. We actually cover like intermodal space operations. Every way that you can move the trucks, bringing in fairings and rockets. You see them driving around the Cape and out of the Port Canaveral and that sort of stuff.
Yep.
Trains bringing in SRBs, planes carrying spacecraft. I mean,
Yeah, I believe we even at one point had one of the big Antonovs that came into Kennedy Space Center. I know, or for the launch and landing facility. We've seen pictures of that. Yeah, we pretty much cover it all.
all right, let me do one last refresh and see if we've got more information from Virgin Galactic. I see a post 7 minutes ago, so nothing new to report there. So I'm going to make a call. Massive thanks to Virgin Galactic for giving us access in supporting our ability to cover this event, the last flight of this spacecraft design here. I do not want to minimize that in any way, shape, or form, because one of the reasons that we are confident that we can roll out here and share this with you is because we have the support of Virgin Galactic and we have the support of Spaceport America. So this is a Virgin Galactic Spaceport America event that we are covering here. However, because we are who we are, and we love all sorts of rockets, we are set up to view the footage that SpaceX released here really quickly while we wait for additional updates from Virgin Galactic. But look at this. This is just from just over 48 hours ago. The Super Heavy booster.
Listen to that too.
Soft touchdown in the Gulf of Mexico. Loop that again.
Oh,
this
look
is
at the
from
vapor cone on the way down.
Look at the vapor cone. Oh, wow. Can they hear us? The video has audio as well. Sawyer, look at the thrust vector control.
Oh my gosh! Wow. You could see the Yeah, you could see the steering on it.
Let's watch it again. Look at the vapor cone, though.
Oh,
Poof. All of a sudden, and that is such a wide vapor cone because it's a huge flat bottom on this thing, right?
exactly. Oh yeah, you could very clearly see the steering on it.
That fire's not supposed to go in that direction, but you know,
No.
hey, whatever.
Well, thankfully there's water to put it out.
There is water to put it out.
Flat
Okay,
bottom
cool.
rockets make the launching go round.
Jack,
I don't know.
you're
We'll workshop.
tired. Somebody
Uh,
mute Jack.
They are towing the vehicle now.
They are over there at Virgin Galactic. They've hooked it up. I think it's actually hooked up to a Land Rover, and they tow it back up to the hangar in a Land Rover. So
Yes, it is specifically a Land Rover, and I believe Land Rover even has their logo on the side of Unity.
It is. It is. All right. Hey, we'll watch this, but we're going to lose visibility. So when we lose visibility, I want to see that Super Heavy booster landing again, because the thrust vector control and the engine puking raptor guts up the side of the rocket. Like, you know something? Look,
Very
we're
descriptive.
laughing. We're very descriptive. We're laughing. We're having a good time, folks. We're space nerds. We're enthusiasts. We're not like some professional personality who's been hired by the network to commentate on the line. Like, come on. If y'all are watching us, we're you. We have so much fun with this stuff. That's why we could make the call. Like, can you imagine? Oh, this is the official stream, but we're going to show you a competitor's rocket that they released little cheekily during the Virgin Galactic flight. I'll say SpaceX.
Hey, real quick, I just want to give you an update. D's slow-mo footage is almost done uploading. It's almost done.
Okay.
Whoa.
We will definitely stick around. We still have stuff to show you. But that's who we are, y'all. We're enthusiasts. We have fun doing this. We're not sitting here reading a script. We're not scared to speak our mind and give y'all our honest opinions sometimes. And sometimes you might like it, sometimes you might not. We treat it very seriously. There are humans aboard. They're back down
It's
safe,
uploaded.
so the mood is lighted. It's uploaded. Okay, we'll get that downloaded and we'll get it shown to y'all here. But let's focus on that. Let's pop over to the view of the hangar. Let's get D's slow-mo footage of the drop. And let's play that back for you. And then we'll look at that SpaceX booster landing footage again. But you know something? What a time to be alive, Sawyer. So many different ways, so many different technologies that are being worked. This is cool.
It's fun because you can go from talking about the world's largest rocket to a plane that goes into space, launch underneath another airplane, and then feathers and does all these cool things with its tails to land, all within
Yep.
48 hours of each other.
Outstanding. It is
Oh
just,
yeah,
it's
and
so much fun.
there was also 22 internet satellites launched last night, and then the day before Starship, there was also 2 more humans launched on a new capsule. So
David Wiggins says, what a week it's been for sure. David, you are not kidding. You are absolutely
understatement.
right. Understatement of the week. Who knows what next week's going to bring, right?
More launches, that's for sure.
More launches. Folks, this is how we cover things, right? Like there was a Starlink yesterday, and Starship had just happened, and the entire team, it's all hands on deck, covering Starship, doing commentary, field work, remote stuff. Like we go all in to cover Starship. And then there's a Starlink coming up, and we're like, well, should we do Starlink? Or I don't know, we're pretty tired. Oh, it's a Starlink. And we're like, no, we're going to do it. We'll go live. We'll share this with people because we know that y'all will show up. And y'all will have fun chatting with each other, and we'll have fun answering questions. It's a community experience that we all share together. Sawyer, you hosted that one, didn't you?
Yes, I did last night.
Like
The
just showed up
first
to
of
host?
the Starlink Group 10.
Starlink Group 10, seriously. All right. We've got the slow-mo, folks. So let's roll the slow-mo. Again, this is going to be a replay from the drop zone captured by D Wise. I'm not even sure how many FPS, but let's see what we've got. Look at this, Sawyer.
Oh, that ignition of the hybrid motor. I also love how it looks like it kind of just hangs there for a few seconds after that ignition.
The FPS is set to yes. Nice. In the back channel. You can see the carrier plane peeling off there because the spacecraft will be pitching up, but look at this.
Even in slow motion, you can get an idea of just how fast that's going to go.
Look at the exhaust. I mean, you can see the exhaust velocity, Sawyer.
Wow, yes. Oh, for sure.
Wait, there's 2 more minutes of slow motion? I'm being told in the back channel that this is like the... Okay, we got some edits in here. Nice.
Look at that. Again, you could tell just how it does fly almost straight up.
Yep.
From this angle. It shows it really well.
And this is why we go to the drop zone. Jack has been out there for this so many times. Jack has this down to like an art, a science art, whatever the two things combined are. Jack knows where to go. We know how the flight path is going to look. We go and we set up in just the right location to get almost directly underneath when it drops. This is experience, like all the times when it's not covered by anybody else, and we don't know if it's worthwhile to go out there. And we know that if we get a camera out there and we put it live, you space nerds are going to show up and hang out with us. And because of those powers combined, like space nerds showing up and supporting us knowing that we can rely on y'all to come and hang out with us when we share this sort of stuff. We've gone out to so many of these launches. We just have the experience. I think Jack might have more experience getting out there and tracking this than anybody else who has tracked these launches.
I just want to say thank you so much, Das, for all your support, getting us filled out with all the gear from Starbase that we could steal. We have wanted to do this with more than one camera operator for literally years. And so thank you to the members for the support. Thank you, Das. Thank you to everybody at NSF who is completely wiped out from Starship and everything else, Starliner and the Flame Trench and Starlink, everything that we've done. We have wanted to do exactly this for years. And today we were able to. So thank you.
I'm so glad we got this thing. We're standing around in the driveway of the bunkhouse. We have like a bunkhouse area at Starbase, and we're like, I don't know, should we do it? Oh yeah, let's do it. Let's just get everything up, get the rental car, pack everything up, and then D and Jack drove off, and 14 hours later, they end up in New Mexico, and we share this event with y'all. So, Jack, y'all are the ones that made it habit getting out there.
And Virgin Galactic has now posted that they have landed safely.
Thanks, Virgin Galactic.
Yeah, and again, we did stream for members live that entire 12, 14, whatever hour drive. So I think we're going to be doing that again. If you want to hang out with us in a more informal setting where we're just sort of answering your questions more one-on-one, become a member, Capcom level or above. You get into the Discord. That's where we do that. It was a real blast last night, helping us stay awake while we drove, chatting with the members. So we can't do what we do without the members. We literally could not do
Was
this.
that a flyover from
That was
Eve?
Yeah, Eve just did a pass.
Just photobombed by VMS Eve.
Gage, can you get it? You want me to get it? The chase plane and Eve just like went past. Oh, why do you keep showing the live feed? I saw that chat go by. Well, there you go. Because the plane just flew past. Gage is going to hop in and see if we can't find that. Hey, another honest answer there. Not that the first answer wasn't honest, because there may be something happening at all times. A lot of times we keep the live feed going after a landing or on the infrastructure or something like that, because you never know what's going to happen, right? So we keep that live feed going, and we want to make it obvious this is the replay versus this is still ongoing, versus tricking people into, oh, that's live again. Oh, is this happening right now? We try to keep that very clear, right? But another thing is we show it in the little window because we put so much work into capturing this, and if we were to just put it up full screen, full res, people strip it, and they strip our watermarks, and they strip our graphics, and then they act like they got it, and it's sad, honestly. Sometimes we're glad that we're able to share it with folks, but so many people come in and just want to rip it and act like they were the ones that got it. It's always so tough. It's like, okay, that's cool that it's shared, but Jack and Dee and the whole team put so much work into it, and to see it just ripped off is disappointing a lot of the times. So anyways, that's another reason sometimes we have the graphics, we have the picture-in-picture, all that sort of stuff. It just flew from the center of the screen to the left, but it's going to be doing a loop. You'll probably want to catch it on the ADSB gauge, because it should be coming in for a landing. You can get some tracking experience on the landing there if you can acquire it again.
Right, and as you were mentioning earlier, the priority for the runway is to get the spaceship down, since it doesn't have engines.
Yep.
With that down and now towed off the runway, that will allow VMS Eve to come back.
Yep. F13 Media there says people underappreciate the live feed and what is needed to have said feed. Keep up the good work. It's a lot of experience. We've done a ton of work out here. One reason we're confident working at Spaceport America is because we volunteer our support for the Spaceport America Cup. And we are out there in the desert an entire week long, learning about how the signal works, learning how our equipment works, learning how we can get a live feed from the tough environment out there. And it really is. It's something that we've built on for years and years and years. I've been going to Spaceport America. God, I'd have to go look it up. It's like 7, 8. Even when United Launch Alliance was launching their intern rocket out of Spaceport, we were down there covering that before I was even with NASASpaceflight. We were out there. So it's just showing up, and it's being able to count that it's something the community is excited and interested in, and something that we can get out there and we can shake out all that gear and figure out how to make it work so that when it's go time, we can get you a feed, as long as there's not a train in the way. Yeah,
one of the really fun things about this one, as compared to previous ones, is that
out for land.
oh, it's already down.
Yeah.
Apparently, we've
one of the cool things we got is that as we were leaving Spaceport, there was a big crowd of people, and a handful of those people saw what we were doing and were like, "Hey, can we follow you?" And it was like, "Sure, if you can." And so we got some extra crowd reacts this time from the people that showed up, and that was really special because it's always a joy to see people, especially children, excited about spaceflight.
Yep. There were folks with their kids out there. I always ask Jack a question right when he mutes.
Say again?
There were folks with their kids out there watching.
Oh yeah, and we see the mothership and the chase. It's turning what is that? West? It's turning west at the end of the runway. It's going to do another loop.
It might pass over us almost.
They typically do several touch and goes to get experience landing before they actually land. So we could see another touch and go.
There it just was. Gage just saw it go past the frame. Let's see if we can reacquire it.
There we go.
Left, 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 more left. Zoom out. There you go.
And thank you to Gage. Like, Gage operating CP11 is so clutch. It's the cover cam while we're running around to the drop zone and this and that, and it's hard to do. Gage is in what? Ohio? Like,
yeah, Ohio.
It's crazy. And only our infrastructure that you have set up, Das, is able to support something as bonkers as that. So it's just a huge team effort to get this done, and part of that team is everybody watching and supporting what we do. I cannot hammer that home enough.
Can y'all tell we're excited? Anybody question whether or not we're excited and truly like enthusiastic? We're not just reading the script. Nobody told us, okay, no, act excited. Like, that's not how we roll. That's not what we do. So Joaquim Hin says my world would be dark without you guys. Well, our world would be dark without y'all too. The car cam.
Yeah, we'd just be talking to ourselves. So it's nice to have people that make us not seem as crazy.
Watch out for cows out there.
Try explaining what we do to someone who's not into rockets. You get some looks. I'll put it that way. You get some looks, but it's you know what? I wouldn't be doing anything else.
I think we're getting degraded control performance from the tracking camera because there are so many people on site, and I think they're all probably uploading their photos and videos and selfies of the launch and takeoff and the spacecraft being pulled back. I'm watching the feed, and I know what control latency looks like sometimes. And was that actually posted up by Jeff Faust that there were over or almost 600 people on site? Wow.
And per Jeff, the Unity is back at the terminal, so I'm sure there's a lot of people taking photos right now and videos.
Yeah, even Richard Branson was on site today. There was a huge crowd.
Nice. What a time. What do we have there? Yep, Unity returns to the terminal. Okay, that's actually some tweets from Jeff Faust posting up a photo of Unity returning to the terminal. That is a lot of people out there. That is an awful lot of people.
That's unbelievable, yeah. Hope they brought enough champagne.
All right. Yep, there's the mothership making another low pass. The car cam is driving back down south to the spaceport.
Yep, you still got the gear down, too.
Yep, it does. Nice. I like it. 9-8 Central says, can we follow? Yes. Jack ignited the Interraptor for the new generation that will colonize Mars. You laugh about it, but it is so important to see young folks out there, like kids watching rocket launches, the parents that take their kids out to see this sort of stuff. There'll be kids watching the student rocket launches at Spaceport with the college students next week. Just all the different ways they get excited. Get a telescope and look at the sky at night. Whatever it is. All the different ways that young folks get excited, they're going to be the people who are excited about this in the future. They're going to be the ones designing these sorts of things and riding the rockets. And like all of those things is so incredibly important. Let's see if we get a touchdown here. Watch for the smoke puff. It's just critical that people are excited and people are interested and engaged and want to be involved with this. Because if nobody's interested, we're not going to do it.
And that's one of the things.
To your point, Das, it really is. The kids that are watching this. I mean, I went and watched the space shuttle launch when I was really young. I was very lucky to be able to do that, and that absolutely was a transformative moment in my life.
Yep.
And you know what? If you're interested in spaceflight, pull that thread. Follow your dream. Nothing is impossible. I know that sounds cheesy and corny, but if you asked me, 10 years ago, if I would be covering rockets for a living with a group of amazing people who I'm honored and privileged, and I'm about to start crying that I am so lucky to get to work with, I would have never believed you. I would have never, ever believed. Would you believe it, D?
Absolutely not. This is a dream come true to be able to be out here and see all the things that we see and share them with the world. It's incredible.
So if you're a kid right now and you're watching this and you're into this, pull that thread, follow your dream.
Yeah, absolutely, Jack. And folks,
Yeah.
you can see there on the screen the carrier aircraft is now down on the runway, rolling to a stop. So that is both pieces of the system. VMS, Mothership Eve, down on the runway, you can see right there. And earlier, VSS, Virgin Spaceship Unity, both safely back down on the runway at Spaceport America.
Yeah, and Das, you and I, we've been doing this for years with trying to get outreach and
Oh, yeah.
get kids inspired into this. And once you see their eyes light up and you see that click, there's nothing like it of just, you know they're hooked, you know they're interested, and it's a matter of not just getting them passionate, but maintaining that passion,
Yep.
encouraging kids to get interested in STEM and STEAM and things like that. So definitely
A little bit of behind the scenes here. We're rolling back up to CP11. So if CarCam is still active, you'll see CP11.
We'll see the robotic tracking camera. Nice, Jack. Make kids play KSP. Like, it's compulsory. I'm in a KSP class in school. Like, yes. Oh, I got to go to KSP class today. Sorry. Like, that would be terrible, wouldn't it?
when I worked at the Challenger Centers, I used KSP to help teach kids about rocket science too.
Yep. I like this. Some folks in chat. Was it Dave? I think that scrolled by. Oh, Dave, I saw your message. I wanted to read it. No, I'm not finding it. You said you were a kid as well, and I can't find the message. Oh, too bad. 58-year-old child. Here we go. Deborah Jean says 58-year-old child. Good to watch at 77 years old. No, okay, let's not make it a contest, Arnold. Like, it just is so exciting, and it makes it that we are able to share this with y'all. Like, if we were just here and it was just me and Sawyer and Jack and Dee and Gage and we were just talking to ourselves, that we'd still probably be pretty excited, honestly.
By the way, we now officially have all of the information about this flight released.
Aha! What have we learned, Sawyer?
We know that the takeoff time was 8:31 a.m. Mountain Time. The release altitude was 44,562 feet. Hit an apogee of 54.4 miles, reaching a top speed of Mach 2.96, landing at 9:41 a.m. Mountain Time. Now, as for the crew, as mentioned, we knew about Tuva Atasever, who was the Turkish astronaut and one of the backup mission specialists for Axiom 3. We have Andy Sadwani, who is astronaut number 28 in California. Andy, born in Houston, Texas, grew up on Star Trek The Next Generation, and fell in love at age 5 after a tour of the Saturn V rocket at NASA. Sounds familiar, like we were just talking about? Andy is currently the principal propulsion engineer at SpaceX, previously as an academic researcher at both NASA and Stanford. Then we also have Irving Pergament from New York, who kept his eyes to the skies, originally growing up in Israel before moving to New York, where he became a real estate developer. He's also been a certified pilot, more than 20 years flying Learjets, and donating his time and aircraft to the Northeast U.S. region of the Angel Flight Organization, which provides free air transport for kids in need of life-saving medical care. And then we have Giorgio Menenti, a person of travel and hospitality at heart from Italy, currently living in London, who advises clients around the world on hotel and resort investment strategy and prefers travel and experiences over material possessions in his free time. He also has the nickname of Spider from childhood, but has no idea why or how he got said nickname.
All right. Well, it was the names and identities, I guess, of the private astronauts there that were on the flight today were held pretty closely until after the flight, and now we know who they were aboard the spacecraft touching the edge of space today.
There you go. Yep. So those were astronauts 27 through 30.
Gotcha. Let me read a couple of these real quick. You can see on the screen. Look, here is the car.
That's
and
a live
the tracking
view
camera.
Yes, it's cameras looking at each other. It's a live view of CarCam at CP11 and CP11 at CarCam.
You can see the Starlink on the ground there, and then the little bulbous dome is the tracking camera that they deployed over there that Gage was operating. And then you can see the car that has Jack and D in it, which just you can tell it made the trip. It's a little dusty there. But Sawyer, I gotta read some of these real quick.
Go for it.
Comments that were coming in chat. Trey9 says, NASA spaceflight, I'm 17, and you all have changed my life. We got to get you saying y'all, Trey9. I'm going into aerospace engineering in college and hoping to work at SpaceX. Thank you. Trey9, thank you so much for popping in and sharing that comment with us. We really do appreciate you. We had one. Here's LaserTech says, my parents set me down to watch all the Apollo launches, and to this day, I do what I can to see all the launches. LaserTech, that's good parenting right there. Just sit down. You're going to watch all these launches, and you're going to like it because you did like it, right?
I'm sorry to interrupt, but there's a message on the rear windshield of the vehicle there.
Spaceport or bust. It does say spaceport or bust on the back of the rental car. Nice.
Might I also suggest car wash or bust?
That's a rental car. They'll wash it when they turn it in. We've got Joe Bullington who says, thank you, NSF, for this great coverage. I just joined NSF as a member. Jack gives you the thumbs up for joining NSF as a member there, Joe. Continuing to scroll through. You're right, Corina Stanley. Yesterday, there was an announcement that yet another of our contributors and hosts has fallen victim to SpaceX. SpaceX keeps taking all of our staff. I don't know how they keep figuring out who we have working with us, but what is that, 4 people now that have been poached from NSF by SpaceX?
Yes, at least 4.
It's okay, I guess. I guess it's okay for us. But that is true. Ian Atkinson, one of our longtime contributors and hosts, is moving on to an engineering role with Falcon at SpaceX. So if you want to get on SpaceX's radar, having NSF on the old resume isn't a terrible thing to have. So if you're an engineering student who is interested in being a contributor or a commentator, well, you know where to find us. My DMs are open on the Everything app. Let's see.
Yep, if you're a writer, a video editor, any of those, you like talking about this kind of stuff, writing about this kind of stuff, definitely reach out.
There was a question came through. Did anybody get video or footage? I mean, there were 600 people there, so there's going to be a lot of footage of the craft landing. And you could actually see it approaching on our camera. The camera was just really wide, and it just flew right over the security truck. So it was visible. It just wasn't zoomed in and tracked on our view. Hopefully that wasn't they pulled it out of a hangar. It didn't actually fly today. Like, seriously? That's not going to fly with the folks in the chat. Here's one from JC who says, thank you guys. My teenage son loves your streams. It actually counts as studying, JC. Watching the streams and getting osmosis of space facts and space enthusiasm. It is an educational experience. So thank you for allowing your teenage son to continue their education by watching all of our streams and videos.
I mean, no, this isn't educational. This is fun, right?
No, I'm selling it to the parent right now.
Oh, okay, good. We're not selling it to the kids. Got it.
Yeah, we don't have to sell it to the kids. We're selling it to the parents. Like, this is a worthwhile use of time, anytime. Doesn't count as screen time. Totally educational. Oh.
And by the way, I do want to point out that in terms of the like you said, for the landing, we're not hiding anything. I believe Virgin Galactic had some video that they posted that we'll be able to share with you shortly. So.
Absolutely. No secrets there, folks. It landed in front of hundreds of people. We saw it ignite the engine and jump to the edge of space. Like, all of these things. Oh, somebody's going to show up and they're going to be like, oh, CGI. It's like we're there with our own Mark 1 eyeballs and have observed this. The number of comments on video that I recorded myself with the camera that I had in my hands, and the booster is coming back down and landing, and people are like, oh, that didn't happen at CGI. And I'm like, what? I was there. That's me on the camera. Like, come on. Oh,
there it is.
Here we go.
Rolling out on the runway from Virgin Galactic.
We've got the Virgin Galactic video of it rolling down the runway after landing. Or skidding down the runway, huh?
Well, 2 wheels and a skid, so...
2 wheels and a skid. There you go.
Sounds like a good band name.
2 wheels and a skid?
Yeah.
I don't think I'd want to be the skid, though, Sawyer. Let's do this. So that is a replay from earlier. I did say that I wanted to see that SpaceX booster landing footage one more time, but I also want Jack and Dee to get everything all packed up and get over to a nice motel, hotel, whatever, and get some rest. Be comfortable. Don't worry about stuff for the rest of the day. I think Jack is treating the rental car as the motel there, it looks like. But let's get them over safely so that we can get them rested up because they have more rockets to shoot in the future. But if we could roll that SpaceX footage one more time, I know that there was a lot of people talking about that in chat right before the drop. I didn't want to, we were going to focus on the human space flight here, but let's watch that SpaceX footage one more time and we will go from there. I'll read some more comments and stuff. I know that there was more support that came in that I have probably glossed over. But let me make sure I get everything that came through the queue. I just have to find the right window here.
Yeah, which, by the way, hopefully Jack will be awake enough to rickroll members again, which I believe Never Gonna Give You Up was one of the songs that was played on their road trip out there. So
Oh
fair
my
warning,
gosh.
you may be rickrolled.
Oh, we've got Roseanne Devasto with a super chat who said the 50th anniversary of the moon landing prompted me to move 13 miles west of KSC in 2019. Then found you, loving my retirement. Roseanne Devasto, thank you so much for the support. Hopefully we're able to get you all sorts of views and experiences here, and we appreciate you not only being a part of it, but helping us keep it going. We've got Jim Slim, who said, I really appreciate your many live streams and efforts. Jim Slim, name rhymes. I like it. It's easy to say live on the broadcast here. We appreciate the support. And there's the SpaceX footage. I want to look up what that little antenna was there.
I was going to say, I wonder where that camera is.
Yeah, it looks really close, but it's also, you can see the compression when it goes past that antenna. I can't get over the vapor cone.
And then also the bobbing, almost like it's a buoy camera, even though I don't think it is.
I wonder if it could be. It's possible that, I mean, that really does look like a gyro-stabilized camera. And
Yeah.
that is so close. I can't imagine that being a... I
It
can't
is
imagine
buoy
that being
cam.
a crude camera. It's got to be a buoy.
Oh, apparently it's confirmed from Dan Howard on Twitter. It is a buoy cam.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Also known as the Jamie Special.
I looked into deploying one of those, but there was too much paperwork, and you can't just do it willy-nilly. SpaceX can fill out the paperwork. It's like Coast Guard is involved. Yes, we looked into all the parts that would be needed to operate a buoy cam. It's true.
Well, we have kite cam. We had a drone up during the
do.
attempt, and now we have SpaceX's buoy cam. So,
Okay, Sawyer, I've been having a good time. My face hurts because I am smiling so much over on this end. I think I've
too.
got through most of the support and stuff like that. I don't want to miss anybody, but it's hard to read them all. Let me make sure. Yeah, there we go. Deborah Jean said Jack is the master of the drop stream, and D is the master of the slow motion stream. So we sent the
Yes.
two masters out to capture it today.
And by the way, I do want to point out that Chris Bergen, NASA Spaceflight Actual, with a great point on Twitter for that SpaceX video.
Yep.
It's the fact that buoy cam caught it shows that the booster returned to a predicted splashdown.
Predicted space. That's correct. That is a really good point.
Yeah.
I think we'd stick with a buoy as opposed to Jack in a kayak. Zap fan.
Oh, we had Ship 26 static fire from Jack in a kayak.
A little danger close there, right?
Yeah.
Let me hit this one real quick. Jacob, I'm not gonna out you to your history teacher, but Jacob said my history teacher wouldn't let me watch IFT4 in class, so NSF in the bathroom it was. Love you guys and thanks for all you do. It's like the appropriately timed hall pass. Teacher is completely clueless if they didn't put together the timing of the hall pass request with the takeoff of Flight 4. Come on, history teacher. I guess they should be paying attention. It became history the instant it happened.
There you go.
All right. I think we are coming up to the end of our coverage here, aren't we?
I think we are.
Yeah, can do. Let me get set up here.
I mean, we do have a
Sawyer,
bunch of other 24/7 feeds that people can still watch too.
give us a little recap, if you could. And what is this? Now what are we
That's Space
showing?
Coast Live, showing one of our 24/7 live feeds.
We've got a Blue Origin pad there. The lift bridge is up at the port. That's what that bottom right-hand camera is showing. The tower, that's a tower segment leg, Sawyer. Look, that gray stick that's under the lift bridge, that's a SpaceX tower segment that they just loaded up at the turning basin at KSC.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Look at that. Heading out to Port of Brownsville.
Huh. We cover a lot of stuff.
Boats. We have boats.
We do.
Trains. We weren't kidding.
All right. Give us a little bit of a recap of what we saw, Sawyer. I need to get one thing technically ready here.
Sure
if
thing.
You could.
This morning we saw the VMS Eve and VSS Unity take off just after 8:30 a.m. Mountain Time from Spaceport America in New Mexico. After about an hour of gaining altitude and flying around, once at 44,562 feet, the VSS Unity was dropped. Its hybrid engine ignited, and it climbed to its highest point of 54.4 miles. This is slow-mo replay of that drop and the engine ignition. 4 people, along with 2 pilots, aboard this mission. Tuva Adesever, Andy Sadwani, Irving Pergament, and Giorgio Minetti were the 4 passengers on board, and that is in addition to Nicola Pasile and Jamil Janjua, the pilots on board. They then hit their highest point, as mentioned, 54.4 miles up, reaching a top speed just under Mach 3 before feathering the tail and then re-entering and coming back down to land on the 12,000-foot long runway at Spaceport America at 9:41 a.m. Mountain Time, marking the end of the 7th commercial flight for Virgin Galactic. On this one, their 7th research flight, and also the final flight of the VSS Unity, which is set to be retired, as Virgin Galactic now focuses on creating their Delta-class spaceships, which are set to fly in 2026.
All right.
We should probably
Jack.
talk about something really quick. I hesitate to even bring it up, but you know what? As you said, Sawyer, Virgin is going to be switching to their Delta-class vehicles, and we all know how spacecraft development goes. It's not easy. So I sure hope that we see Delta soon, but I hate to say it, there is a possibility, given the toughness of the market and the toughness of bringing a new vehicle online, this could have been the last Virgin Galactic flight. I don't think it is. I don't hope it is. I really don't hope it is. But it's not out of the realm of possibility that that's what we saw today. And I sincerely hope that's not the case. But if it was, I'm so glad we did it right.
Yeah, absolutely. Jack, that's one of the reasons it was so important for us to scramble the fighters out there to cover this event, and I'm so glad that you and Dee were able to make the drive safely out there so that you could share this with everybody. We're watching the slow-mo replays and the tracks and stuff here again, but thank you all so much for making it happen. Folks, the people we have out in the field, Mr. Jack Beyer, thank you so much for everything you do and your experience in capturing and covering this sort of stuff. We could not do this without you. So thank you for making it happen. That was Jack Beyer. We can get the little card. Go ahead, Jack.
There's no way. There's no way I could do this without NSF believing in me. Like to even propose doing something like this is absurd. And because we've done it so many times, even way back when they were flying out of Mojave, we have the experience that we can. And
yep.
I'm forever humbled and forever honored that NSF puts their faith in me. I mean, when we go live to thousands of people, we can't do that and not have a good feed. It's a little bit of pressure, you know? And we're not going to go live unless we have cool stuff to show you. And just for, once again, members, thank you. Viewers, thank you. Everybody at NSF, thank you. It's a team effort. And I'm out of words. I'm out of words. D is also amazing. There's no way this would have been pulled off to the level that we were able to pull it off without D's help. So, holy cow! Just once again, I could not ask for a better way to spend my life than doing this. So thank you.
Good deal, Jack. Y'all put some love in the chat for Jack over there.
Sharing the
Holding it
raw
down.
emotion of it all.
Yeah, making it happen. Absolutely. Please put some hearts, put whatever emojis, a triple, whatever you want to do in chat for Jack, because Jack is a real person out there making this happen for us and sharing it with y'all. D as well. You can see D's information up there in the right-hand corner. Cinematographer extraordinaire, always knocking it out of the park. Fantastic behind-the-scenes footage. Just a fantastic bit of ability out there. And Jack and D together is almost like a dream team powerhouse of covering things like this. So we hope to see a lot more of D in the future here on these sorts of events. But D, thank you so much for all the hard work and being super flexible when we're like, hey, I think you were sitting on the couch and I was like, hey, want to go to Spaceport? I think those were the exact words, weren't they?
Yeah, something like that. I think it was about maybe 20 hours before we were on the road from the
Yep.
point where it was mentioned, hey, want to go? And it was it's been an incredible trip to be out here. I cannot express the emotion the same way Jack has. This is just has me beyond words how cool this has been, how grateful I am for all the support to make this possible, because I would not have been able to make it from here to the drop zone if it weren't for Jack, who has done this before, if it weren't for all the behind the scenes support making this happen. Thank you so much.
Yep. I like it. Kenneth Yeager here in chat says, get it, nerds. We're going to another launch. I mean, that's sort of how it goes. D, thank you so much for all your fantastic work and being a part of the team out there. Folks, we also have people in the studio supporting this today. Jay Keegan was pressing the buttons and pulling the levers to show all of the live stream from a production standpoint today. Always fantastic work and flexibility, because Jay also covered the Starlink yesterday for us, making that stream happen as the train has no brakes here on the NSF space coverage. Also, we had Gage. Gage was operating that tracking camera. Such a tough job to do. And Gage, thank you so much for the great work you did today. I don't think, we're not going to have Gage on comms, but you'll hear Gage's voice on Raptor Sides on occasion with all of the practice tracking things over there at Starbase and the Cave. Gage, another critical member of the team, helping us make sure we keep things going here. Back in the studio also. Yeah, we do need an info card for Gage. I agree. We need an info card for Gage. Somebody put that on a list. Oh, hey, Gage. How's it going?
Just thought I'd put in. Yeah, thanks everyone for the support. That was a whole lot of fun.
All right. Good to deal. That's the voice of Gage, handling the robotic tracking camera there. And then Sawyer, thank you so much for holding it down with me.
Oh, my pleasure. These are always fun to cover. Anything with human spaceflight is both exciting and nerve-wracking, and so I love being able to share that excitement with everyone.
Absolutely. Folks, if you haven't yet, and you like the excitement, you like the way we cover things, you like the fact that we're not here pointing at PowerPoint slides and reading a script for you, and we are raw, emotional space nerds like I hope most of you are, you know how to get back to the channel. If you want, toss us a follow. There's little buttons to click. You know which buttons to click to get back here. Follow us on all our social media accounts. There's a command that we can put in chat, and you can find us over on Instagram and all the other places, the Everything app, X, etc., etc. We send out posts, and we do slow motion. We do behind the scenes and all the different things we do. You know how to find us, but if you've found this channel for the first time and you want to come back and share this sort of stuff with us in the future, you know how to get back. Like ring the bell or whatever, so you get a notification when it's time to come and hang out. But for now, that is going to end our coverage of Galactic 07 out here at Spaceport America. My name is John Galloway. For NSF, you might hear me referred to as DOS. Don't ask. That's a long story. But thank y'all so much for joining us today. We're so happy we're able to share this with you. Thank you for all the support. And for now, we will see you nerds later. Thanks for watching.
And here we go.
chamber pressure looks good.
Doubling up. Roger, Atlantic.
Water towers, fly! Yes! Tango down to nominal.
Flight downside SPD off. Say again, SPD off. Off. It's orange! 145! Oh my god! Oh my god! Decollage. What is it? Put that in the big bag,
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together back to the moon and beyond.
This methane would be igniting the flare, correct?
Yikes. You dead? Sure. We don't need any more of these.